You've probably seen this happen in almost any company, right? There's this constant tension. The business side has a brilliant idea, but the tech side, well, they struggle to build it. And the result? Wasted time, blown budgets, and just frustration all around. So today, we're going to dive into the making of a new kind of professional, the Business-Tech Translator, the person designed to bridge that exact gap.
So, let's get right to the heart of the matter. And look, this isn't just some minor annoyance. It's a massive, expensive problem that silently wrecks projects and companies everywhere. We're talking about a fundamental breakdown in communication that can completely derail even the most promising ideas.
I mean, it's the question that keeps executives and project managers up at night. You've got a smart team, a great vision, a solid budget. So what gives? Why does the final product so often miss the mark, or worse, fail entirely? Well, the answer is often surprisingly simple.
And this classic cartoon just perfectly captures where it all goes wrong. The boss says, "We don't have time to gather requirements. Just start designing anyway. Otherwise, it will look like we aren't accomplishing anything." And you know, it's funny. But it's funny because it's so painfully true. This rush to do something without first agreeing on what to do is the classic recipe for disaster.
Yeah, we can laugh at the cartoon, but the reality, it's no laughing matter. See, the source material points out something really crucial. Getting that initial plan wrong, the requirements, that's where the most costly errors are born. Fixing a misunderstanding on paper is cheap. Fixing it after weeks and weeks of coding, that can literally bankrupt a project.
So how do we fix this? Well, it's not about making everyone an expert in everything. No, it's about creating a new, specialized role. Enter the translator.
All right, so let's really dig into this. The whole idea here is to create professionals who can speak both languages. They have to understand the world of business strategy and the world of technical implementation. They become that essential link, making sure the business gets what it actually needs and the tech team knows exactly what to build.
And we gotta be crystal clear here. The goal is not to turn business consultants into software developers. The tech specialists are still going to do the heavy coding. Instead, the whole point is to create these bridge builders, professionals who make sure the business vision gets perfectly translated into technical reality.
Okay, so how do you actually build one of these translators? Well, it boils down to 4 key skills they have to master. First, learning the tech language. Second, knowing how to draw up the project blueprint. Third, mastering the modern workflow. And finally, proving you can take these skills from the classroom straight to the boardroom.
All right, first things first, you got to start with the foundation. To be a translator, you have to become fluent. You need to really understand the fundamental concepts and the vocabulary that the entire tech world is built on.
So one of the first things a translator has to get is that not all data systems are the same, not even close. You've got your OLTP systems. Those are the ones that handle the day-to-day stuff like processing an online order. Then you have OLAP systems, which are all about analyzing huge amounts of data for business insights. It's like a screwdriver versus a hammer. You absolutely have to know which tool to use for the job.
And then you've got data modeling. Honestly, this is kind of like creating a shared dictionary for the whole company. It's all about making sure that when a business manager says the word customer, the tech team knows exactly what data that means. This gives you that single source of truth, and it just kills the ambiguity that causes all those expensive mistakes.
Okay, so once you can speak the language, what's next? Well, now you have to draw up the plan. This is where we go from just understanding concepts to creating a concrete blueprint, planning everything out before a single line of code gets written. And this has a name. It's called requirements engineering. Think of it like the detailed architectural blueprint for a house. I mean, you wouldn't let a construction crew just start throwing up walls for a new house without a blueprint, would you? Of course not. Doing that with software is just as crazy, and this is the process that prevents it. And this structured process is the antidote to that chaotic mess we saw in the Dilbert cartoon. First, you really dig in and figure out what the customers and users actually need. Then you describe exactly how the system needs to behave. And finally, you check that plan to make sure it's complete and, actually possible to build. No more guesswork.
So we've talked about the what, but now we need to talk about the how, because it's not just about what you build, it's how you build it. And mastering the process, the workflow, that's another critical skill for any translator. You know, in the tech world today, there are really 2 big ways of thinking about this. There's the classic Waterfall method, where you plan everything out in one huge, rigid document right at the start. Then there's Agile, like Scrum, which is all about working in these short, flexible cycles so you can learn and adjust as you go. A great translator, they need to be fluent in both of these worlds.
Let's just walk through how a modern Agile process keeps everyone completely in sync. It all starts with a simple, clear sprint goal. For a short period of time, maybe 2 weeks, everyone, business and tech, agrees on one single focus. This one simple thing forces everyone to be clear and make sure there's zero confusion about what's most important right now.
Okay, so you take that big goal and you break it down into a real, concrete to-do list, the sprint backlog. This makes the work tangible for everyone. This way, the business folks can see exactly what the tech team is doing to make their idea a reality in this cycle.
And this is the magic part. Progress is not some big mystery. It's tracked visually, on a chart everyone can see, every single day. I mean, this kind of radical transparency is the ultimate communication tool. It literally stops misunderstandings before they can even start.
Okay, so that's the theory. They learn the language, the blueprinting, the workflow, but does it actually work? How do we know these skills really make it from the classroom into the boardroom?
Well, we know because it's baked right into how they're tested. For example, students are given a business idea, and they have to translate it directly into a technical database design. See, this isn't about memorizing definitions. It's a real-world test of their translation skills.
But it gets even better. Another exam question makes them write actual SQL code to ask the database for answers to business questions, like, show me all the customers in Frankfurt. This is huge. It means they can get answers for themselves without having to file a ticket and wait for a developer. They can actually be part of the solution.
And that brings us to a final and I think really important thought for the future. In a world where AI is starting to automate more and more of the routine technical tasks, the uniquely human skills, understanding context, building agreement, translating tricky business needs into clear instructions, are becoming more valuable than ever. So this bridge builder, this translator, it's not just a nice-to-have role for today. It might just be one of the most essential human jobs of tomorrow.